When you throw 4 interceptions, commit 9 penalties, get outplayed and outcoached, yeah, you're going to lose 100% of the time.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, this is not going to be a happy one, but we are here. Good times, bad times. We've always got your back here on Locked On Canes. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers and the haters, because I know you're here as well. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The formula for this episode is simple. We'll talk about how Miami needs to bounce back from this, because what happened last night is only a catastrophe. It's not a catastrophe, but it only is a catastrophe if you allow it to carry over, because this team has literally everything still in front of them, and I cannot emphasize that enough. But with that said, a lot of things that went wrong last night, a lot of things that need fixing. Despite a lot of things going wrong, you still had an opportunity at a game-winning drive. There is so much to take away from this 24-21 loss. The Louisville Cardinals, Jeff Brom is that giant slayer. He pulls off signature wins like this every single freaking year. I hope we wouldn't be the one to give it to him. But here we are, 24-21. Louisville upsets number 2 Miami last night. I have the pleasure of being joined by, if I try to list this man's resume, we would be here all day, but host of Comics and Canes, awesome stand-up comic, game show host, actor, Michael Yo is with us. And Mike, I know you, yes, me, and the entire nation of Miami Hurricanes fans are obviously in pain right now after what we saw yesterday.
Now, I just want to say before we get into it, because some players didn't step up, some coaches didn't step up, I want to put it out there. I still think Miami is going to be a dominant team. And I'm not a homer at all. All. I speak like a fan. I still think we go 11-1. We all thought we were going to lose a game this year somewhere.
Right.
Some fans thought we would lose 2. So this is the loss. I still think we go 11-1 and we do well in the playoffs. So I'm at that point. Now, that being said, these are 2 things that I think stand out leading into this game. The first thing is the last 3 coaches we played on the podium before the game said, you know what? Miami's defense, they're kind of basic. They just got better players, so they don't need to do anything different because they got great players. So that just shows you that every coach is saying they don't do much. They just got great athletes. Right. When you go against a coach that knows how to scheme, then that kind of nullifies that, because every coach has said this defense is basic. You know, I think Heatherman is great. I think Heatherman is awesome. I think when I hear other coaches say they don't do much, that worries me. When you have Carson Beck, he threw 4 interceptions, but when you have Carson Beck the week before the game, a couple days before the game, go, hey, you know what? We're going to stick to what we do, because teams tend to, do new stuff, and that ruins the momentum. That just shows you, okay, this offense is not going to really change. And then you have Zachariah Poyser on the podium going, we never saw anything they did on film, right? Louisville's offense, because Brom schemed up stuff they'd never seen. Why isn't Miami doing that? That was my question of this whole thing. When you have other coaches saying, oh, they kind of do what they do, Carson Beck saying, we're not going to change anything, and then you have your own defensive backfield, you have your defense going, we never saw any of these plays. They have never run any of these plays all year. Why are other teams the only ones doing that to us? So we talk about rat poison a lot. I don't think the players had rat poison. I think it's the coaches. I think the coaches are the ones with the rat poison. They were the ones that say, we have better athletes and we're going to win and we're going to stick to what we do. We don't need to change anything. So I think more than the team, this one is on the coaches. True, Mario didn't throw 4 interceptions. I get that.
Right.
I think it was wrong going the loft and in the flats when you haven't gone to them all season. Like, why are you throwing in the flats? Why aren't you throw for a touchdown or running up the middle, get a field goal to score? But I think those are the major problems, that the rat poison was more about the coaches because they didn't change any schemes. And they basically told everybody, we're going to do what we always do because we win. And this proves that the coaches need to go back in their toolbox, get out of the rat poison and be like, oh, maybe we do need to change up stuff because we're not running the ball well anymore. And our defense has been exposed. And guess what? Other teams are going to see how to do it. And the last thing, Donno, last thing I'm going to say, when you have this receiver, Chris Wells, right? That's his name?
Bell.
Chris Bell. Why aren't we bumping running him every play?
Yes.
Why aren't we playing a man zone? Where he's man, but when he goes into other people's area, it's zone. Like, why are we letting him release running across the field full speed? And I get it at the beginning because we think we had great defensive backs, way better than last year. I will give you that. But they actually played like last year's defensive backfield against Chris Bell. And the coaches didn't help him out. Right. The coaches did not help the defensive backfield out at all. So those are my major points is we let everyone know we're not changing anything when it's sad to see our defensive backfield and defensive teams saying we haven't seen any of those looks. And I think that's the big problem about this game. And Brom's a genius.
Yes. Yeah, and listen, and I appreciated Mark Fletcher. I was working the WQAM post-game broadcast last night, and Mark Fletcher was interviewed on the radio, and he admitted, he was asked why were they able to stop the run so effectively. Louisville held Miami to 63 rushing yards.
63 yards.
For this group is inexcusable.
Yeah.
And he said they played harder than us. He's like, I hate to say it, but they did. So there's that. But everything you mentioned with coaching, Michael, you hit all the high notes for me. There has been an attitude and perhaps an overconfidence that has now been exposed where, you can just line up and beat anybody because we're bigger, we're stronger, we have better athletes. And yeah, that may be true. Now, Louisville does have a talented team. I mean, Chris Bell is going to be playing on Sundays. Isaac Brown's going to be playing on Sundays, and he looked like it yesterday. But Miami obviously has more talent, but they got flat out schemed. And some of the takeaways that stand out to me, Michael, and I sent this list out to my Locked On Canes Insiders chat earlier, 5 big factors for me. Number one, there's plenty of blame pie to go around. I borrow that phrase blame pie from Wes Goldberg, who's the host of Locked On Heat. Because listen, it would be so lazy for me to get up here this morning and say that, you know what? We lost because Carson Beck sucks, or we lost because Mario Cristobal is who he is, or, I can't blame it on one person. So the brilliance of the blame pie is you've got slices to hand out to multiple different people and multiple different units. And Mario Cristobal, he's eating a piece of blame pie this morning. Shannon Dawson, Corey Heatherman, Carson Beck is eating a big piece of blame pie because 4 interceptions is obviously not a recipe for success. Now, amazingly enough, those 4 interceptions didn't turn into any Louisville points, which is credit to the defense. However, every interception is a missed opportunity to score. So there's that. And the 4th interception literally sealed the game because they could run out the clock after that. So this was really, really bad. So Carson Beck had his worst game by far of the season, Mike.
So my thing is, you remember, I think Miami was shocked they scored 14 points so fast. Because they haven't seen these looks. So Miami,
did you see the body language? Our guys looked like, what just happened here? I was very concerned about the vibe.
Yes, 100%. So I think they got shocked, and it took a while to recover. But here's the thing, is the defense held those Cardinals, I believe, 6 to 7 drives after that in a row without scoring. Miami should have been able to put up a lot of points. They stopped them 6 to 7 times in a row. So this game falls. Look, Heatherman. So I'm on the fence about the defense. They didn't make the corrections to stop Bell, but they held a team that averages 38 points to 24 points. If you told me Louisville will score 24 points, I would be like, that's a Miami Hurricane win.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to balance blaming Heatherman and the defense when they did hold them to 24 points, but it was so glaring that Bell was not jammed on the crossing patterns, and they just let him run free. I guarantee you, if they played this game over, they would jam him on those crossing patterns. But another thing is, after the third quarter, after seeing Bell, and at the beginning of the fourth quarter, seeing Bell keep doing Bell things, wouldn't you be like, we should adjust?
Yes.
Maybe. And for all the people blaming Bain, saying he didn't play a good game, Messidor playing, and I said this last year, and I believe this year, you can't blame them boys up front when the quarterback's getting out the ball in 1.5 seconds.
Which is, and that is huge credit to Jeff Brom.
Scheming.
I mean, master schemer, master.
They were chop blocking at the line of scrimmage to get players to put their hands down so they could throw quick passes. That's scheme. So I don't blame the defensive line. It's they didn't jam the players. If you're a defense and you know the quarterback has to get out the ball in 2 seconds and it's 3rd and 8 and you're 10 yards off the receiver and you're backpedaling on the hut when he says hike and they snap, that's on defense. That's on scheme. And if you know he has to get the ball out, why are we playing so far back off of receivers? Because he only has 2 seconds or they will get to him. So I didn't understand that the whole game. And maybe some of the people watching this understand that scheme, but I didn't. If you know this quarterback couldn't stay in the pocket more than 2.5 seconds, why are you backpedaling when it's 3rd and 8 and having a 10-yard cushion off a receiver?
Yeah, well, we got more factors to talk about, plus a little perspective, because again, like I don't want to be so soft that we're going to act as if the season is over. Like, guys, it's a game, and I'm not saying you are, Mike, but I've had the misfortune of checking my my ex Twitter timeline for the past 12 hours, and it's getting ugly on those Twitter streets.
Don't do it.
So we got a lot to talk about. You want to keep it locked right here. We're live right now, so smash that like button and subscribe. I see we got Miami fans and Miami haters in here. DJ Ferg, who's an FSU fan. But worry about your own team, Ferg. You guys are on a spiral right now. He says it was like Christmas watching Miami lose last night. I mean, I'm glad you're happy. If you're happy, I guess I'm happy. I'm not, though. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. With more IIHS Top Safety Plus pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every vehicle. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every movement count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda. Move and be moved. We're also brought to you by DoorDash. Guys, it is the weekend. Saturday is here. And it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. And yeah, the good news is, even though Miami lost last night, you're getting great deals and discounts with DoorDash. So that's the good news. For Miami, a tough loss last night, but Malachi Toney delivered in a big way. It was not Malachi's fault Miami lost that game. Toney helped Miami get right back in it with a rushing touchdown. He threw the 2-point conversion. Baby Jesus, as they call him, had Miami right back in that game. He came through when the rest of his team, most of them didn't. No hesitation, no delay. If you've been watching week after week, that performance wasn't a fluke. Malachi Toney is on a streak. And just like Toney delivers for your Canes, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. That's today. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order today. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, and promo period runs through November 18th. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. For your next listen, check out Locked On ACC. We're going to have plenty of chaos to talk about on my next episode with Kenton Gibbs. We'll see what happens today. Big game between Georgia Tech and Duke, which, could crown the favorite to become the ACC champion, depending on what happens in that game. We're joined here on Locked On Canes by Michael Yo. All right, so Mike, my big bullet points, we've gone over some of these already. Carson Beck, 4 interceptions. You brought up, wisely so, I don't know what the plan was on that final drive. When you're in field goal range, you can either tie the game and go to overtime, which is okay. You can win the game, which would be even better if you do it, if you get a walk-off touchdown. Miami seemed to be playing for neither of those things. When you're throwing it into the flats, and you're probably going to pick up 1 or 2 yards if the ball isn't intercepted. I didn't really understand that. So that's something. Frustration for the running game. Miami was held to 63 rushing yards. It's not been working even going back to the Florida State game. This offensive line and these running backs are way too good to be producing 63 rushing yards on 2.6 yards per carry. And then, the other big bullet point from me, Mike, and I know, and I'm already seeing this in the live chat. People are like, oh, it's over. We're going to lose our next 6 games. The team is cooked. Pop-Tarts Bowl, here we come. We're going to find out over the next 6 weeks, especially in the games like at SMU, at Pittsburgh, even home against NC State could be tricky. CJ Bailey, I'm sure, has a chip on his shoulder being a South Florida kid. We're going to learn what this team is made of, but I'm not going to sit here and act as though we're for sure Pop-Tart Bowl bound again. So last year, Michael, Louisville upset Clemson last year in Clemson Stadium. Clemson goes on to win the ACC championship and get into the college football playoff. Like, that literally just happened last season to a team that lost to Louisville. The team that won the national championship last year came in 4th place in their conference and didn't play in their conference championship game. Everybody is, slurping the Alabama Crimson Tide right now. They lost to Florida State to open the season, who Miami beat. Like, we have to accept the fact that we can't allow one loss to turn into a spiral. And I know what you're going to say, Donno, I've been watching this team so long. We're going to lose 3 more games this year. You don't know that. We're going to find out how this team responds. And literally every goal is still sitting right in front of you if you can find a way to win out in a schedule that's not all that difficult.
I will say, thank God for Stanford next week.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't come at a better time to get confidence back up, to work on your game. And no disrespect to Stanford, but if that game's even close, that's a problem. That should be a blowout. But I just really feel that this is I'd rather do this loss now than in the college football playoffs. I'd rather do this now than at the end of the year. And they're doing exactly what you, with me, with a lot of Cane insiders have thought. It was going to be 11-1. It was going to be 10-2. Yeah. So they're doing exactly what we thought. We tend to get caught up in the moment and go, they're not going to lose. And then they lose. And it's like, okay, well, I predicted them to be 11-1. I still predict them to be 11-1. But I think the biggest thing about this whole game, which I love, is the coaches have to reflect. Look, Carson Beck throwing 4 picks. Miami played the worst game it possibly could. I don't think you will see Miami play a worse game all season and still had a chance to win. That just shows you how good this team is. That's what it showed me. You could play your worst ball ever, and then you still have a chance to beat a team that is schemed up by Brom. So that's the positive I take away. But I think the coaches have to sit back and go, oh, we had the rat poison. Why on the first drive of Louisville, when they're throwing the kitchen sink at you, putting up 3 quarterbacks up there, doing all kind of trick plays, why wouldn't you think they would go for it on 4th down, do a fake field goal?
Right.
I was screaming it, watch the fake field goal. Watch it.
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't you think they weren't going to do a fake field goal?
No.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No.
But I do think they're still going to make the playoffs. Like I said, we talked, some negativity came out about Miami, but it's exactly what I thought the record would be as long as they went out.
Yeah.
And I really do think this is good time, not for the players to reflect. This is a good time for the coaches to be like, oh, maybe we should look at changing things. Why do we play Joshua Moore against Notre Dame, but we don't play him against Louisville? Why don't we try other receivers? Why are we stuck to just CJ and Malachi? I mean, they're great
Release
receivers.
the JoJo Trader files. Release the files. What is going on there?
JoJo Trader. Where is JoJo? JoJo's been missing. I think I saw him on a milk carton the other day. But,
yeah, I mean, at least we're getting Jordan Lyle back into these games, but he's looked rusty. Like it's kind of looked out. It's looked out of rhythm whenever we bring him into these games. Unfortunately,
you know what, Donno? I said it on my podcast. You know, when you salsa dance, you got a good rhythm. Fletcher and Marty Brown, they had the rhythm going, and then Lyle came back, and literally everything. Just think, Lyle came back 2 games ago, and I'm not blaming Lyle for anything, but 2 games ago, everything started to go downhill. I think the rhythm is off with Lyle right now.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't think I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not disrespecting Lyle or his family. It's just something's off about when he comes in. Rhythm is lost. And that's on Dawson to figure out. But when he's putting him in, everything slows down a little bit. We saw that in the Florida State game. We had good rhythm. They put him in, and then everything kind of slowed down. I don't think it's a Lyle problem. I think it's just a rhythm problem, and it's bigger than Lyle, and they have to figure that out. But we've seen this happen 2 games in a row when Lyle comes in, things kind of slow down.
Yeah, I think my probably biggest point of frustration at this point is probably the regression and the lack of discipline on the offensive line. And that's something. And listen, I know people are going to bring up coaching this and coaching that. I tweeted about this last night. I understand why they didn't use a timeout near the end of the second half. That actually made sense to me why they didn't. But I know people, anytime Mario does something that maybe looks a little off, people are like, oh, this guy can't coach or whatever. But what to me definitely falls on the coaching, and this is something they have to fix. You know, Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal, I believe in them as the best offensive line coaching duo in the country, but I need them to tweak and maybe explain why this offensive line is committing so many pre-snap penalties, and especially a guy like CeCe Maui, who's going to be a first-round draft pick, and deservedly so. Like, I can't have this dude committing multiple false starts per game, shooting us in the foot. This is happening way too much. This lack of discipline, I mean, Miami has combined for 22 penalties in their last 2 games. That's not a recipe for success.
And Pancake had a big one too. Like that was so critical. I believe it was like a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and then it became a 3rd and 8. It's like those penalties just ruined the momentum of what Miami was doing. And Mario said it in the press conference. Mario said it. He goes, "Hey man, yeah, we played bad, but also the penalties, it slowed down momentum now." And look, Dawson gets a lot of blame, but your play calling does change when it's 3rd and 2 and now it's 3rd and 8. It puts you in a worse position. You know what I mean? And then I wasn't a fan. I got to be honest with you. When Carson Beck kind of threw Lofton under the bus at the press conference, he goes, he ran the wrong route. But I understand because reporters.
It reminded me of Tua. It reminded me of watching a Tua presser a little bit.
So I was really upset when I first heard that. But then I went back and watched the Mario Cristobal interview at the end, and Mario said it. Mario said it first. So I was like, all these players are in the same room when they're doing the press conference.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Mario first said, hey, it was a miscommunication. The guy ran the wrong route. So Carson Beck, they asked him 4 times about it, and he goes, miscommunication. And it's on me. And finally it was like, he ran the wrong route.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how reporters are. They ask the same thing till they get something juicy. And he finally just repeated what Mario said. So my thing, it starts with the top. I don't have a problem with Beck saying, I mean, I kind of do. Because if I was Lofton, I would go up to Beck after the game and be like, hey, man, you know, no disrespect, but you didn't have to do that. But it starts with the top, and Mario did it. And so once I saw Mario do it, I was like not as upset about Beck. I thought Beck just came out of blue and said it. But when I saw Mario said it, I was like, that's not good. And I kind of understand when Beck said it because he's like, well, I'm just repeating what the coach said now.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so Miami, you mentioned Miami's got Stanford coming up next, which, should be a get-right type of game.
Hopefully.
So the big things, Michael, that I want to see against Stanford, the running game needs to rediscover its mojo.
Yes.
Like I want to see this team rush for 150-plus yards against the Cardinal, emphasize the running game, re-emphasize the running game, maybe show us a little bit more creativity to get some outside runs going. So that to me is my primary objective against Stanford, is to get the running game back again. And then you've got obvious stuff. Show us you can cut down on the penalties. Like, keep it to 5 or fewer penalties. That's all I ask. Don't turn the football over, or keep the turnovers to a minimum. Come away with a comfortable win at home, as you should. Like that's what I want to see against Stanford next Saturday.
And what I also want to see against Stanford, our tackling grade was absolutely horrendous this game. The tackling, it reminded me of 2024 defensive backs, missing tackles all over the place. The whole team was just missing tackles. Like, I saw the tackling grades, and they were in the 20s. A lot of people were in the 20s. It was so bad. It was so bad. So, look, a lot of fans are saying, well, we played one game in 3 weeks. And they look rusty.
Yeah,
but
they did.
Still,
yeah.
I go back to this, is my only positive thing I can say about the whole experience. They played the worst game you will see Miami play this year. And they almost won the game. It would have been they didn't deserve to win the game. And without that fumble from Isaac Brown, we should have lost by 10.
Right. But if we're going to give them 4 turnovers, they can give us 1. Like, and we almost did more with that 1 than they did with the 4 that we gave them.
It's an offensive. I mean, we're having offensive problems right now, and it's not just Beck. It's all across. Like, Miami should not ever lose a game if the other team scores 24 points. It shouldn't happen. Unless you're playing like an Ohio State, a top 4 team, a top 10 team in the country. It should not happen against Louisville. And my point I make on my podcast, when we get past the point that when we're looking at ACC games going, man, that's going to be a tough game, we're not there yet. Yeah. When we're saying Pitt could be tough at the end of the year, when we're saying, oh, SMU could be tough, because I guarantee you, Ohio State playing Louisville, this wouldn't have happened. Ohio State wouldn't be worried about Pitt at the end of the year. Yeah. Ohio State is not worried about SMU. But our fan base and our team, when we make that narrative, that just shows you we don't even feel that we're there.
That's
we
right.
love the team.
Yeah.
So
we got PTSD.
We need to get past the ACC. Yeah. We need to win the ACC. Come on, man.
We'll leave it at that. A huge thank you, as always, to Michael Yo, who hosts Comics on Canes. He does an awesome job. Anytime Mike can hop on with me, or I can hop on with him, and our guy Gio, we all hop on each other's. It is a real family. We appreciate everybody for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. We'll be back. I'll probably take tomorrow off, which is I'm not running from the smoke. But the thing is, like, I usually take Sundays off.
Yeah.
I'm not. Well, I mean, if we have a Saturday game, I would do Saturday. But I'm going to take Sunday off, spend time with my family. I'm at that point now.
Yeah.
But, hope this team can bounce back. And, you still have everything in front of you. Go ahead.
I have one question, Donno, for you.
Yeah.
Depending all the favorite teams win in the top 10, Miami tends to drop more than any other team when they lose.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think by the end of the weekend they're still top 10, or will the committee move them outside the top 10?
Yeah, so I think if you see like other teams that are in the top 10, if it's kind of chalk, and I think there's at least one top 10 matchup this week. So, there could be a little cannibalization, but if we drop to like number 12, would I be surprised? No. I mean, we probably should. It's not as if Miami got cooked yesterday. Like you're talking about, it's a 3-point loss with a game-winning drive on the line at the end of the day. So I think Miami probably should and could stay in the top 10. I don't care either way, because we just need to start winning. Like they could drop us to 50 and I wouldn't care. Like it is what it is. It's that kind of day for me. We probably should stay in the top 10. I don't think we could drop any farther than 12. So I'm looking at somewhere between like 9 to 12 is where I expect.
And if Georgia Tech wins against Duke, I think Georgia Tech will be in front of us, because they're 13 right now, I think. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and they would be undefeated. Yeah, I think. So do we root for Manny Diaz today? Can you bring yourself to do that?
I mean, who would you rather play in the ACC championship? Georgia Tech, Duke, or Virginia?
I'd probably, I would want the opportunity for revenge against Georgia Tech. That's who I would want to play.
Yeah, me too. I think we match up well against Georgia Tech and Duke. So
yeah.
All right.
We appreciate everybody for the Canes lovers, the Canes haters, and everyone else who stopped in. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. It's still all about the U. Right here on the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.